Hello dear chess friends and welcome to our new video. In that video I will present game played between Vladimir Alatortsev and black was Grigory Levenfish. Game was played in 1937 in Soviet Union final. Game is extremely important to understand concept of key square. And let's see what happened in the game. Just to give some information about the players. Vladimir Alatortsev was very well-known player between two world wars, and he was also well-known as a great composer, especially in pawn endgames. While at the same time, Grigory Levenfish had some tournament successes, and if I don't go wrong, I think he had some victories even against world champions in 30s of last century. So two very solid players play that game, and let's see what happened. d4, knight f6, c4, e6, and some kind of Nimzovich defense, or let's say Bogo Indian. After bishop d2, white takes and knight takes, just matter of style, and after knight c6, knight g3, both sides just finished their developments, d6 and bishop g2. As we can see, after exchanging bishop from f8, black stays with a light square bishop, and he wants to fit his pawn structure with that remaining bishop. The point is, after staying with a light square bishop, he should set pawns on dark squares, and that's exactly he went for. He played e5. Now white decided to block. I would not go for this because without dark square bishop, white expansion on the queen side is not so effective, and I think white should go for something else, maybe keeping tense or maybe just taking on e5. But okay, knight e7, castling, and e4. Once again, I think there was no necessity to set more pawns on bishop color. Maybe it was just better to organize something like maybe knight g5 with knight e4, or to play on queen side something like b4 and expanding. But okay, if white wants to play c5, sooner or later pawn d5 will need support, so that's why e4 was played, and excellent move, knight d7. Black same time established control against on square c5, preventing same time white c5, and gets ready to strike white's base of pawn chain basis on e4, of course. After knight e1, white wants to make base strong. After f3, and knight goes to d3 to support c5. Black attacks with f5, and now let's see what happened. White played knight d3. That is horrible mistake. Although that looks normal, that is horrible mistake. White must play here ef, and after knight f5 to play, let's say, knight d3 with idea to prepare f4. After f4 there will be some dynamical balance, but that is something white should go for. After his move knight d3, black has just possibility to get more space and play f4. And remember, dear chess friends, with fixed pawns e4, e5, and with white fianchetted bishop on g2, it is extremely important for black if he can play f4. And same time, of course, that is extremely dangerous for white. Let's see what happened later. After f4, gf. Okay, if white does not play this, black will play g5, same time supporting pawn and continuing attacking on the king side. Of course, black advances pawns accordingly to pawn chain. Direction of that pawn chain is our king side, and that's why he expands exactly on the king side. White decided to take, and now we can see that everything depends on white's ability to provide e5. If white is able to play e5, he will have even better position because he will open position. Black king may be in problem and he will liberate that pawns C and D, as you can see. But the point is, it is black on the move, and you can of course guess black's next move. That is knight g6. Black wants to occupy square e5. After occupying firmly square e5, black will be completely winning because white bishop on g2 would be just horrible in comparison to bishop on c8. Same time, white king will be in problem, and by installing piece firmly on e5, black will level just white pawn majority on the queen side and in the center, so 5 against 3 would not be used because pawn e4 would not be able to advance. Same time, with 3 pawns against 2 pawns on the king side, black will just expand, winning the game. And game goes pro and con against pro and con e5 advanced. So black goes for queen e7, once again controlling e5, but also controlling c5. So now after c5, black can just take and white can do nothing. So white decided to play rook e1 and black invades. After knight takes, white decided to play f3, blocking, but now you can see that black plays b6. Excellent move, stopping white activity there. If white goes for b4 to prepare c5, black crashes with a5, and now we can see white is in problem because a5 would be opened. Of course, if white plays something ridiculous like b5, that would just help black to easily win the game because white has nothing on the queen side and black has freedom to organize on the king side whatever he wants. So a5 would be just destroying move. After move b6, white decided to take, and of course black takes back with the queen. As you can see, dear chess friends, black had one knight on e5, then he had another knight on e5, now there is queen, and the endgame there will be a rook, and finally there will be king. So why do I like to present that game to my students and also now to you, my dear chess friends? Well, the point is you cannot find better spot, better and more instructive game to explain principle of key squares. e5 is key square. If white gets able to play e5, he will get advantage. If black maintains superbly blockading on e5, he will have absolutely winning endgame. So everything depends on controlling of e5 square. Also, by trading pieces occupying key square, black will be able to put many different threats in many various directions. So after queen e5, let's see what happened. Queen d2, bishop d7, and after queen c3, no chance, black will not take, he just supports queen. White eliminates blockader, but there is another blockader, and after a3, very important resource for black is a5. Well, after b4, which was not happen, black would be able to take, but white will maybe later organize some counterplay with rook a1. I think black would go for waiting like king f7, and in some good moment he will decide to take or not. Well, white decided to play b3, and now white decided to play patiently. He will not be able to play b4 with some great effect, so he should go maybe for Wabank play with b4 previous move. Black infiltrates with the king, making it closer. White does the same. And after rook h5 with tempo and rook h1, now black king dominates on e5. Black king is ready, even you will see in many variations, to invade via d4 square. After king d3, I don't understand next black's move. h6, that's just strange. So by playing that bad move, black loses possibility to double on h5. Maybe that would be needed. Rook h4 would be good move in that direction. So if he wants to play g4, definitely in some moment he could try with this, setting rook on g8 and then to strike. Or maybe he will have possibility to double on h4. on h file. Same time rook h4 will prevent maybe white move h4. After h6, as you can see, strange move h3. White played h3 to prevent maybe black bishop g3, but that is ridiculous. Now g3 is weakness, and black immediately transfers his rook there. If rook goes there with idea to prepare that, like bishop f1, okay, black would be able to play just rook g8, and after that black may take with preparing g4 is some good moment. That must be done with decisive effect, and I think that would be just winning for black. Just take a look. White bishop is so passive, poorly restricted by all his pawns. Black bishop perfectly fixed with entire pawns, and game is absolutely strategically lost for white. Anyway, let's see what happened after h3, rook g5, rook g3, h4, and rook g8. Black plays g5 sooner or later. After that, black decided to strike immediately, and white hoped with king f2 to support the bishop and to get some counterplay with rook h7, but there is nothing to achieve because black attacks fastly. After rook h5 looks like good attempt to find some counterplay, black superbly reacts with king d4. Yes, king goes directly straight forward to attacking queen side pawns. There are some targets. Black already threats with a4 in some moment, or maybe with king c3. Of course, if white rook moves, game is absolutely winning for black. And after rook d1, king invades deeper and deeper. Rook h7 was happened here, but black has excellent intermediate move. gf, now rook d7 will just lead to defeat after fg2, and white is completely lost. After this, bishop f1, black played inventively king c2. If rook e1, black just moves rook back to g7, and of course after this, king b3, taking pawns, and black a pawn is predicted to decide that game. So after king c2, white played rook d3 to protect b3 and to attack f3, but now black has excellent resource this. Deflecting the bishop, protecting the rook, of course, this leads to losing exchange. Black wants to eliminate bishop f1 and white is hopeless. He tried with rook f3, but after this, black is a bishop up. Rook c7, black must go for precise play, and his next move is absolutely amazing. He must keep pawn f to win the game. White may collect some pawns, but f pawn is passed and it will decide the game. So after king d3, bishop e2, pawn goes to the action. Now rook h6 and rook g2 is threat. After rook h2, okay, black takes a pawn, and once again black renews the threat, and after rook g6 finally white resign. He is in Zugzwang, he cannot move anything. After d6, pawn is lost. After b4, pawn c4 is lost. If white moves rook, there is rook g2, deadly check, and black easily wins the game. So that was the game I want to present you in that video. I will once again pay attention on important moments. After f4, black practically forced white to take, and he was able to maintain blockade on e5 square. After maintaining blockade on e5 square, as you can see, now one knight, then another knight, finally later a bit queen control c5 and the rook, and finally king in the endgame. Black convincingly won the game because, of course, white has bad bishop, white has passive king, white has passive rooks, and white has, maybe as the most important, useless majority 5 against 4 on the left side on the board. I hope everything was clear with that example, dear chess friends, and I suggest you to maintain firm occupation of key squares in your future games. Every other controlling is highly recommended. Wish you many victories, like that victory held by Levenfish. Hope you will enjoy our next videos, and see you soon. Bye bye.